Easy E, how are we?
Shawnee, I'm Olympic ready. I've got me sweatbands, chocolate, popcorn. Sorry, a very unathletic Olympic observer. I'm going to be watching some of the pole vault and giving them tips on what he should have done just to get over it
A
and
proper
everything.
armchair Olympic watching. Would you be
Ah,
like that? Oh, this person should do this and this, even though like you have no hope of doing it yourself.
no. One thing I am definitely not is an armchair. Like, don't get me wrong, when I watch football, I am a little bit aggressive because I played it,
Mm.
so I can have that. But when it comes to the technicality of these races, I actually find with the Olympics, it's more empathy when you see someone missing out by 0.01 of a second, and I actually feel sad. I think that's what the chocolate and popcorn is for,
Make
and the
yourself
blanket
feel
is.
better.
It's just like it's 4 years and in one moment, and
Mm.
that pressure, and it's just especially for the guys and gals in green who are going to do their very best. Like even as we're recording the rugby, they just missed out by maybe a controversial decision, and that's a bronze medal for the rugby sevens missed out on, and it's just 4 years before that comes around again, and that's how I find. I actually just find it such a spectacle, and
Mm.
what I even find as well, it's heartbreak more times than anything when you see someone fail on a thing or get a fault on a thing. It's like, oh, it's so
All that
good.
for a falter, double falter.
But I have to say, in terms of sport, I always say to people, I'd watch two snails racing each other. If you were to let them race each other, I'd watch it. What a spectacle of a variety of sport. And that's why I love the Olympics. I love watching it because 1 minute you're watching this, next minute this is on, cuts over to the hockey, there's golf, there's this, then you're onto the track and field. It's just amazing. I
Mm.
absolutely love it. And it's going to be an exciting month.
Well, obviously, the track and field has been the one that's got a load of attention over here recently, and rightfully so. Probably the one I want to go out of my way to try and see. Is there anything else where you're like, okay, I gotta be honest, I'm interested in the Americans, the basketball, LeBron James, and all that, and because that's getting more competitive, and usually Americans run away with it. But this is the running podcast. Anything else you're interested in?
No, it's just at
Just
all.
everything.
I just think it is such a spectacle and it is
Hmm.
fantastic and it's a great opportunity. But it's just I'm excited. I'm just excited to watch sport. I'm excited to watch people do stuff. Like this is where like running brands built like impossible is nothing Adidas just do
Hmm.
it. All built from people breaking barriers and doing something new and like it's just so exciting. I am excited to for this one, and I will be on my little armchair watching in between the sports, and then I'll go for my little 2K walk and my 3K run, and I'll feel like a super duper athlete. But it's a great time.
Well, that's not the first time you've had the sensible response because when we put up the post for last week's podcast, Kevin English got on one of the comments. It was like Eric's taking the sensible approach towards Barcelona next year. And I read back in the post, I'm like, yeah, actually, that actually does make a lot of sense. I'm gonna double down on what I'm doing because I've signed up for a couple of shorter races to see where I'm at with sprints and stuff. So the Selbridge 5K is on near the end of August and that finishes with a loop around the track and in Selbridge and it's mostly flat and I'm like oh I don't think I'm there but anytime there's 5K and I'm building towards something I'm always like this could be the sub 20 and I signed up for Nace 10K the following month we talk later in this podcast I spoke about that because the medal is so nice and I'm normally not a medal person but like I'd love to be one of those people that sign up these races with the chance of winning because like I just heard like Cork City are doing a 10K later in August. I think it's August 18th, the St. Finbar's one. The winner gets €800. Like, imagine arriving to a race and going, could be making money off this? Like, I could get a couple of pairs of runners and whatever off this one. Like,
Well, if I get show up to the start line with a shotgun on my back, I'll probably still will win a shot. €800. I'm going. I'm
yeah, I'm
getting a
like,
flight. I'm getting a flight back. There'll be
like
laxative in the water.
it's gone from getting your wooden medals and stuff to getting 800 quid for winning a race. Like, I can only imagine the level at that's going to be going
It's
for those kind of races.
And that's it. And it is a lot of prize money. But a lot of these local races, and as we talk about and we touch on in this podcast, there's a lot more running clubs and a lot more kind of local community run clubs being set up and athletics clubs. And it's the running element is becoming more and more popular. And there's a lot more people getting involved that probably wouldn't have in previous as well. But do always support these 10K, 5K races. Even if you just planned on doing a 10K that day, they're very minimum cost for that feeling of being surrounded by so many other people running a race. The likes of this event that's coming up in Cork, and we do want to give them a big shout out. We wish them all the best with the event. If you are looking for information on that, it will be in the show notes after this. But support your local races and just get involved in them and try your best, and see where you are and be surrounded by people. And that's pretty much what you do now in the build up to these races.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think my first race was a half marathon in Kilkenny, and the only reason I signed up for that was because we were doing Dublin. And unfortunately, you bring that up again in the podcast later on and embarrass us once more for that Dublin 2017. But the reason I bring that up is that, like, I used to think, and I had this conversation with someone recently when I was trying to get a few people to do Selbridge 5K, and they're like, oh, it's only 5K. And I used to think that as well. Sure, why would you sign up for a 5K? I could do a 5K around here. It's not even close to the same. One, you're going to be a lot faster running the race. But like setups and stuff like that, it's Selbridge did a couple of years ago. I know I've mentioned it a few times, but they do a great setup for it. And roads and stuff closed off, and just your goodie bags and your places set up afterwards, bit of food and stuff. Like I was in Maynooth a couple of months ago. The 5K was ran really well there as well. There's 10K option as well. But the local races, they're a bit of crack. Get to see people you're running with and stuff like that, and just it gives you those smaller little goals to aim for. But it's not always just about as much as I love Dublin and the big day out, having those events leading up to it is a bit of crack.
Yeah,
As long as I don't
look,
get injured.
it's an opportunity. Like you kind of forget, particularly with running, it's a solo sport. And as we talk about, it's good in this podcast. We're giving a lot away. It's good to be around people. It's even better when you go to your local race and you probably haven't seen so many people because neither of you knew you started running and you've both been doing it individually for the last 5 years and now you're on the start line and you gotta have it, like there's opportunities like that. And it is a great feeling. And I loved it. In Dubai over the last while, we were doing races because it was like €10 entries and we were just doing it because why not, and meeting people and seeing people and I love that, and definitely something I'll be carrying back when I come home. And the big races are getting expensive; they're getting hard to get into, and the local races are where it will be for a lot of people as well over the next little while. So yeah, best of luck to anyone who is organising races. Do keep the shout outs coming in. We'll try and tag people and promote people doing great things around Ireland and helping out athletes, and it's just it's good, and it leads in nicely to this episode, Sean.
Yeah, speaking of great things, I'm going to say no more because I'm going to try and say it in the intro of this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. Let's go. Our next guest on the Any Given Runday podcast runs with the Dublin Endurance Project. So the bar is set pretty high with previous runners from the DEP on the show. But like her first marathon last year in Dublin, where she hit a 2-hour 53-minute, she has nothing to worry about. Maebh Brannigan, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. How are you getting on?
Hi, thanks for having me on. You're hyping me up there big time.
You set the bar from your very first one of a 2-hour 53. So I hope over the course of the next 45 minutes, however long this runs, we hear you did a lot of running in your youth. And it's not a case of you stuck your runners on, did a 16-week plan and hit a sub-3, which is a goal for beyond the goal for a lot of us to do. Like that puts you right up to, you could qualify to do Boston, New York, and that's a ticket to any big race in the world on your first one. Like, does that register for you that you got to, not easily, obviously you put the work in, but like it's
honestly,
there
when I finished, like I was like, oh, that was so fun. And then until I started meeting the lads, I started to realize, Jesus, that was actually a good time because I had no idea what was classified as like a brilliant marathon time. I didn't really know. So it's kind of sinking in the last few months that, oh, Jesus, like maybe do something good with my legs over the next while. But at the time, no, it was just a good laugh for me, to be honest. The race,
Sean, no one can see Sean's face, but green doesn't suit you, Sean. You're like
Are you both runners? Do you run?
I'm not meant to be a runner after hearing that time, no.
Don't be coming training with us, so
No, I've seen you guys train a Saturday morning. It is phenomenal stuff. It is scary stuff, but phenomenal stuff. And I always feel like a hypocrite looking at it because we do talk in a podcast about like, oh, just like come in for a run. It doesn't matter what pace you are, join in and you be grand. And then I see what you guys are doing, like Ian Fitzgerald and everyone else up there, and Wayne Waldron and all, and just like the paces you're setting, just casually going out and hit a sub 4 for X amount of time, and it is phenomenal what you guys are doing. And I'm making sure if I ever do a long run in the Phoenix Park, it will never be a Saturday, just in case I bump into you.
Come along on a Sunday. That's a bit more chilled.
I was going to say leave it till night, Sean, but people will probably call the guards when they see you running around.
I would anyways.
Cheers, Maeve, doubling down that one as well. This is going to be great.
So, Maeve, tell us, it was your first one, but what is your background into running? How did you get into this, or how did you figure out I'll enjoy a sub 3 hour marathon?
Well, if we're dating back to years ago, I was on the track for most of my teenage years and early 20s. I got a scholarship to university for track, and then I got sick of that, and then COVID came, and then I wasn't really running I kind of didn't run during COVID. I just didn't really want to. I kind of fell out of love of running, and then I got back into running 2 years ago. I decided to enter the marathon the year before it, so last October, 2 Octobers ago, and then I just did the marathon. I didn't, I suppose, have a proper marathon plan for it. I was training with Tala AC, and then I was getting sessions off Strava and kind of making it up as I went along. And then I did it then. But I'm not like new to running. No, if that's what you're saying. I've been running my whole life, but I'm new to the distance running for sure. I know more about track work than I do about long distance running.
And what kind of distance were you running on track, or what was your sport? I suppose you're probably the only person in the planet that got to COVID and said, "Nah, I'm not running."
No, I was working too
Everyone
much.
else did the inverse.
I was literally working about 70 hours a week, so I couldn't. And then I was just sick of it. From the track just took so much out of me. I had lost interest in how serious it was, and then it wasn't fun for me anymore. And then I came up to Dublin, and I was like, oh, I can actually find joy in this again. So, but sorry, what did you say a minute ago?
What was your track specialties?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of distance were you running?
I did 400s and 800s and 1500s and relays and all of that fun. So yeah, it was really hard. It's a different type of hard.
I'm not surprised why you hated it. Like as soon as I know Wednesday interval day is coming, I'm like, oh no.
It's just pain. 800. It's just like constantly swimming in lactic acid, constantly needing a bin after training to get sick, lying on the track for hours. Like I remember having to get people to like carry me. Like it was a different type of training altogether. So it was so weird coming up here and doing like long reps. I'd be so used to going to the track and doing like 3 reps and being done. Being on the track for 2 hours, whereas up here you just run from your house or whatever. It's so different. But I enjoy the longer stuff.
Would you have ever done any kind of easy runs and stuff like that doing track? Or like what would be your longest before you took that break?
Half an hour.
Oh wow.
Oh my
God. So when I started doing miles, I hated it. I didn't enjoy doing the miles. It took me a while to enjoy them because I was doing it by myself and I was up here. I didn't know anyone when I was up in Dublin for the first year, so I was kind of just being by myself. But yeah, 30 minutes was the longest. So now when I was training for a marathon, I was like, what do you mean I have to go out and run for 2 hours?
How did you find the transition? So for me, the mental part of intervals, it's you're just screaming, don't stop, just keep moving your legs, just keep turning over, just don't stop, to now you have all these thoughts and you're on a long run and now your brain is thinking about ice cream and then it's thinking about, oh, that's a nice dog. How did you find that transition into mentally being on your own for 2 hours or 2.5 hours? How did you find that?
That was actually the thing I found the hardest, was that trying to keep my brain occupied for that long of a run. So I did find it hard. But I also, when people always ask, what do you think about when you run for that long? Sometimes I don't think about anything, which is kind of why I love running, because you just kind of go out and you're kind of disassociated from the world and you're just floating and then it's done. But then when I started meeting people, then on a Sunday, I started going to Ian's group at the Papal Cross, and then the miles just flew and I couldn't believe I had been missing out on this for 2 years, because I'm up here 2 years, but I only started going before the marathon in like August. And then it was just like, I couldn't believe what I was missing out on. And then it kind of grew from there.
What people do listen to this now, they're probably week 3, week 4 into Dublin Marathon, for getting those longer runs in, it sounds like the key there is to join a group, to go with someone like Ian and do that. Would that be the main thing? Would that be the main switch for you that got the long runs in?
Yeah, he started the group on a Sunday morning, but now himself and Pete Peter Thompson in the group as well. They run the Your Health of Runners on a Sunday morning. So that's just for everyone, all levels, all abilities. And we meet at 8 o'clock, and then you're divided into a group based on your marathon goal. So there's literally space for everybody. And there's like over 50 people there. It's great.
There is that accountability factor. I suppose when you go back to your track days, when you had a coach or you had a team or you had people, you had that accountability element of, I have to go because Sarah's going and so and go, you know, and everyone's going to be there and I have to go. Do you find that helped your transition from, well, obviously being on your own for a little while? Because I found it from team sports into individual. And then all I did was individual for nearly 4 or 5 years. Then I found it real weird when people were like, oh, do you want to do this kind of training session today? And I was like, yeah, but I wasn't expecting it. And don't talk to me and don't run so fast. I don't want to keep up. And so how did you find that transition back into teams? Do you notice a difference between it and you just perform better on those easy runs, or what way do you find it?
Oh, that's a trick one. So like you're asking, what is it like to be back running with a group of people?
Yeah. Especially with the endurance project. Do you find that team element, although the shorter reps and the max effort has gone out of it, do you find that running with those people is bringing on your endurance game? It's making it that more
definitely.
enjoyable?
You need to run with people. You need to be able to always chase. That's why I stopped going to Tala, because I had kind of outran that group. So I was looking for people who could push me on. So I think if you're not training with people, you're not going to reach your potential. So the boys have definitely given me so much. If anything, they've just given me self-belief, which I think goes a long way, because I lacked that for a while. I didn't really understand or know my ability. So they have definitely given a lot of that to me. And I've been injured, so I haven't really got to run with them that much this year, but I'm looking forward to that aspect where I can jump in on, at the back of their train and do a little bit with them, because that will bring me on course.
Do you run midweek with them?
What?
Or do you do midweek runs by yourself or with them? Or like, I'm assuming one of those weeks, I'm assuming to get that time, you do intervals at some stage. Is that with a group of yourself, and what way do you do them?
So are you talking about before my marathon or at the moment?
Roughly around, not now with your injury, but this 2:53 is really what I'm getting at here.
I didn't know the boys. I didn't
you
know
didn't know them before that, the 2:53, no?
No, I didn't. That's what I'm saying. I was doing my own gig. Yeah, and I was with Tala for a while, and then I started doing my own thing. And actually, Wayne, I remember telling Wayne, I picked up an injury must have been August, for like 7 weeks. And then I remember talking to him, like, what am I going to do? Like, I have a marathon, I'm going to have to taper in a few weeks. And he was like, taper? You've been tapered for the last 7 weeks. So Wayne kind of got me over the line. He started giving me sessions, and then I kind of was introduced to the boys then after around that time. But so I only started going this year in 2024 to the lads.
And when, obviously, your first marathon, obviously for us, me and Sean did a 5-hour first.
Don't bring it up, Eric.
We did.
Are you really going to say that on a podcast? You're on 5 hours.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was a long time ago.
I know it was a long time ago.
And we only trained for about a week. I don't think we knew what a marathon was, to be honest. We just showed up, really.
We did everything wrong. Like everything
wrong.
The only thing I did right was put the right runner on the right foot and the left runner on the left foot. I think I got that right.
Together.
Oh yeah, that mistake as well.
Another big mistake. Big mistake. Yeah, well, we might try one now, but on that day when, like, with no training starting the marathon. So our first day in Dublin was probably the most horrific experience of our lives. Your first day, you were going around signing babies and handshakes and
all the newborns.
Yeah. So how was it when you were going around? Did you like the whole wall element? Obviously you've done high reps. You've been lying on tracks for hours, just needing people to pick you up. Did you ever have that feeling of this is hurting, or this is I know a marathon hurts everyone, but how did you find that, particularly in your first one?
Well, my friend Oseas, he's also in the DEP. You probably see him in the videos. He actually paced a group of us, so it was just with him until halfway. And then I remember passing someone about halfway and asked them to check their phone, saying, what am I going to hit here? Because I can't do maths in my head, and I didn't know where I was going to finish like the time. So I remember asking some fellow where I was on the the tracker. And he's like, you're not going to break 3. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to break 3. So then they ended up doing a negative split then. So the pain kind of only kicked in for me in the last 10K, because I had gone so easy at the start that I hadn't experienced pain too early on. So I was kind of lucky that I only hit the pain towards the end where everyone hits it. So I wasn't really alone at that point, if everyone is in pain.
And and just hold on for dear life. Hold
on for dear life. And then my friends actually, two of my friends surprised me. They come up from Galway on the train and we're standing there with a sign that had Maeve and it was all broken from the rain. And I see them, I was like, I didn't know you were coming, and my heart just dropped. So that really got me over the line. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, that was so special.
It's mad when you're in that kind of like last 10K, you're in that hurt locker, as Eric calls it. And when you see people that you don't expect to see, because that happened to me
Yeah.
last year as well. It's like, no, I did a completely different race. But anyway, you still get that uplifting kind of feeling. Like it's just seeing faces
Mm,
and stuff. And that's why I love so much about Dublin is there's people that you may not have seen in years. They could be there cheering
yeah,
other people, but when you see that face, you're like, this
it
is
really
brilliant. It gives you
helped.
that extra little boost. Like it's fantastic,
Yeah, I had
fantastic
no
race.
idea how big of an event it was, and I was just going around being like, "Oh, look at all these people in the pouring rain out clapping." I really enjoyed it. It was one of the best days of my life, I'd say, definitely.
And as marathon experiences goes, probably the worst one that has happened over the last 5 years since me and Sean have been doing them. It's the one that has had the most rain and everyone was freezing. And
I
the last
know.
few times, even the year before, was quite warm, Sean.
Yeah.
It was quite a hot marathon. So it's definitely, I suppose, something to look forward to. I'm guessing Dublin Marathon is on the cards for you again, or are
Yeah, it's
you
on the
currently
cards,
in a
and I'm
training
not going to
program?
wear. I wore Penny's socks in last year underneath my Nike socks, and the blisters. I had blisters for about 2 weeks. So there's one thing I'm not going to do this October is I got myself proper running socks. So yeah, I'm doing the marathon. I'm going to wear proper socks.
What was the thinking behind that? And in case I haven't made it obvious already, I've made almost every mistake there is now, but I don't think I've ever done two
Never wore
socks to
two pairs of
marathons.
socks.
Because it was
I feel
raining,
even better about myself.
I said two socks because of the rain, not thinking that cotton and rain is going to stick to my skin. So
And
I learned that
two
the hard way.
socks will always give more friction as well. So you were goose from the get-go.
Oh, I
What were you
was.
thinking, mate? What were you
I
thinking?
don't know what I was thinking. It wasn't
Maeve, this is
nightmare.
going in the top 10 things of what not to do in the Dublin
Mm,
Marathon.
yeah, don't wear penny socks.
Pennies, if you're listening, we don't care.
Thanks on pennies.
Is there anything else you would recommend, just off what we're on that topic now, about the Dublin Marathon, people listening in, what to do or what not to do? Is there anything that, apart from the socks, that pops in your mind and go, oh, this?
Oh, there was so much learning for me in my last block. Do your calf raises all the time so you don't get injured.
Oh,
And when you have
interesting.
a niggle, I always struggle with knowing if I have a niggle or if I have an injury, but I would always just say stop because last year I had a pain in my foot and I just should have stopped because it ended up being a bone thing that was cost me almost 2 months. So just stop if you're sore and take a few days. I wish I had done that and find a group.
And is that is one of the things like we always say, and it's one of the things again, lessons learned from being
Yeah.
stupid, and just pushing through is the marathon training. And when you go into endurance, it's more of a lifestyle. And
Yeah,
as
it
part of
is.
that lifestyle, you're running, and if you feel a niggle, what I say to people is, and I've been with people who are pushing through, no, we'll just do another kilometer. It's like, but then you won't be able to train tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
this whole thing is about being able to train tomorrow. And I suppose that brings us on to your injury. What
Mhm.
happened? And obviously the competitive mindset took over to keep going. What
That was
happened?
the problem, like ego taking over. I've had so many injuries, and it's all down to not really being in tune with my body, not taking advice from physios, do my own thing. And that's why I'm happy that I have the lads now because I can't do my own thing anymore because they're like Pete is coaching me. They're always checking in to see how I am. So I can't be just off doing my own thing because I'm accountable to them almost.
Yeah.
So I've had a tendonitis in my feet. I strained my calf twice this year, and then I had a stress response on my foot in last October. So I've had a lot from the knee down basically, but I'm okay now. I'm 8 weeks in the clear now, so that's nice.
I see you're doing a
And
lot of
obviously,
sled work and stuff like that
Yeah.
now. And how's that going? How's it going trying to combine the sled work and the gym work with the running and finding hours in the day to do all that?
Yeah, I hate going to the gym. I don't get any high. I come out there in a bad mood. You know, you go do something, a run, and you're in a great mood after. I come out there like feel nothing. So I just literally.
Means to an end,
Sean,
really.
Sean, there, the gym instructors after losing about 10 clients
So
after that.
sorry.
Ah, it's all good. Bicep
Cut
curls
that
don't help
piece
with
out.
races.
I find the time because I'm lucky that I don't have any children yet, and I'm working 9 to 5 job, so I can get up before work or go after work. So I'm lucky that I can find the time to get to the gym. I only go twice a week for strength, but I do my calf raises 4 times a week.
And in terms of that, are you adding them in as part of your runs? Are you getting them in separate to the runs before?
Separate to the
Because what
runs,
I
yeah.
find, Yeah. What I find is with stuff like that, it's habit. It's like when you go to the gym and at the end of it, it's like, oh, we'll do ab work now. And you're like, oh no,
Oh
I'm going
no.
home. But it's kind of like stretching after a run. We all know we should do it, but when the car is there and it's cold and it's raining, we just get in the car. Are
We have
you
never
now?
stretched out. We finished our run on a Saturday and no one even touches their toes. It's just like the boys just put on their Crocs and then we just go into dash and sit down and then they're all just walking around like exhausted. Like no one stretches. It's so bad.
And what do you then? I suppose you take it a little bit more personally then with your calf. How do you build the habit of doing the calf raises to ensure your injury prevention?
I have just set days that I make sure to go to the gym, and I'll just do it like because I'm really this first time in like years that I'm really really determined and focused. Like I'm taking everything
Mm.
really serious, like my routine, sleep, nutrition, rehab. So I'm going to do everything that I can to be the best that I can be. So I have no issue with motivation or discipline. Like I'll just do it.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who'll find an excuse. So I have that mindset. So I'm kind of lucky that I have that at the minute.
Did you run in Paris this year?
I did the half with my family, yeah. My boyfriend and my family went over to just for a bit of crack. It was
Yeah,
lovely.
and you're at the starting line, and you were warned not to race it.
Oh, have
You
you?
talk about being motivated. You talk about like pushing yourself and stuff like that. And you get to a starting line of a race, and you go abroad for it. And I know it's your family and all, but how hard was it to go? And you say be accountable to the coach, but you're at the starting line. Did you feel like, oh, I could be okay for this one? I'll go for it. Or
Yeah,
how did
I
that
felt
go
like
for you?
that. I still ran too fast. I got back then and Ian was like, just shook his head. I was like, what? Like, what? Say it, spit it out. He's like, why did you do that? And I just knew. And even I did a 10K or the 10 miler in the park last week. And I remember ringing Pete after being like, don't hate me. Because I ran faster than I was meant to. So it just happens. But yeah, I'm getting better.
It's the opposite for us. I do a race. I ring Eric like, don't hate me. I can't talk about this for the podcast. It's too bad a time.
Yeah, it's too emotional.
Yeah, we definitely have the other aspect is like there's pregnant women running past me here, Sean. I don't think I can
Ask
I
the
don't
boss.
think I can talk about it. But it is something that and we find with the when you have that competitive edge built in, the discipline, because it is years and years of habits, although you grew to hate it, and a lot of athletes do, and those who committed so much of their hours in their youthful years in one sport and max effort, and then when you hit the age of choice and 18 and college and after that, it's like, do you know what? I'm just tired. I'm
Yeah, that
tired of doing the
happens.
same thing. But you have the benefit of routine and habit.
Yeah, thank God. That goes such a long way. It's really underestimated how important routine is, I think.
And when you add in that plan, once you get your training plan, do you add in everything else about it? How do you manage social as well? Because one question we always get is, how do you manage social lives, the weddings and the all? Do you
Yeah.
put them on hold or do you just make it work? Do you stay flexible and still live your life as well? Or how do you manage that and
Yeah,
still
I
be competing?
definitely have a good balance. Most of my friends, like my friends are the ones that I run with. So like when I go and train and I'm hanging out with them, like I find that fun. Like for me, that's fun. And the friends that I have in my life right now are into athletics in the gym. So I don't always feel like I have to explain myself if I don't want to go or if I don't want to drink or if I can't go. They understand because they're doing it as well. So I just kind of have friends that get it and my boyfriend gets it. So I never really have to sacrifice too much. And I don't drink that much. Like I love going for pints, but I can stop drinking if like I can have like two drinks and be done. I don't need to be out all night. I prefer to be fresh on a Sunday morning than being hungover.
I can
You
relate
are
more and more to
an
that.
absolute unicorn. If I have two, it's trying to stop me is the problem.
Well, I
That's
am
when you
going
have
to
to
Crow
rein
Park
me
on
in.
Sunday. If you see me run on Hill 16 on live TV, mind your business because you have more than two pints on Sunday, I tell you.
By the time
And
this comes out, it'll be Monday morning. They'll be like, "Oh, she doesn't know what she's in for that game, or she's gonna be out all night after that result."
Yeah,
if we find any funny images though, that's going to be the picture of the podcast we're
please
going to put
do. Please.
up. And obviously, surrounding yourself with people is good, and it encourages you when you surround yourself with people who are in the same boat, you will succeed. You will
Yeah.
achieve similar. Like for like will always, have a positive influence. But your family have a big influence in you when you're running. You do a lot of running with your family.
Yeah, we're a really healthy, fit family. Like growing up, sport and training was just a non-negotiable. Like that was just the way that we were brought up. I have four brothers, three brothers, Jesus, I count. And
There's
Eamon
one
played
fella who's like,
county. Well, yeah,
what?
my brother played county football for Galway and hurling. and then they play GA. And so it was just, yeah, I always, when I go home, I go for runs with my mom and stuff, which is nice. So it's just normal in our home to be training.
Is it normal? And I understand this more and more now that I've got to talk to you now for the last a little bit in the podcast, and I can never wrap my head around this. But do you do sea swimming for like the benefits of it, the enjoyment, or what's the crack with it? Because
Are
like you
you?
seem to really enjoy it, and I just don't know how you can enjoy something
I
like
feel
that at
like you're
any
pulling
stage.
the piss out of me with that question now. Because
No, but
everyone always
Sean,
says to me, do you swim or do you go to and get your boyfriend to take a photo of you? I'm like, I actually swim. I just don't wet my hair unless it's hair wash day.
That was not where I was going with it. Like I
Sean
genuinely,
doesn't
I
get
thought
in
you were going
because
to
of
go.
his hair as well.
Yeah, well, that's the longest it's been in months. But no, I genuinely, I talked before the podcast, I can't put my feet into any sort of Irish Sea or any time of year. I freeze. And yet you seem to have a big smile on your face afterwards. I didn't even notice the hair part. I was just like, how do you, like,
Oh, I love it. It's the best thing ever because you go in and you're too cold to think about anything apart from literally, you feel like you need to just stay alive for like those like 20 seconds. And it's nice to just focus on one thing at a time. Try
do you
it.
not
Like
get
just,
that from intervals and trying to hold on for dear life and
yeah,
rather
I
than
do. But swimming is different gravy. I just love it. You feel like you've accomplished something when you come out of the water on a winter's evening.
because a
So
253 marathon's not enough to accomplish.
You need to get back in. Go to 40 foot. It's lovely.
I've done a little bit during the winter. Lorcan Fisher, who does a good bit of training with me and guided me through a lot. The Shannon is right outside the barracks where we were based with the helicopter, and we go on a run, and he would start in the water, and he'd be like, "Come on, get in, it's fine," and like. I turned into the biggest wimp you have ever seen, from the toe to the ankle. I couldn't even put my hands in. It was
Yeah. The more
stinging.
you
I
think
was
about
like,
it, the harder it is. You just have to go hell for leather and just get in. You can't dilly dally.
Do you do ice baths or something like that, or do you just go, nah,
No,
at sea, no
I,
interest?
I don't have an ice bath. I wouldn't. A fella a company came to the DEP a few weeks ago with his ice baths. I forget the name of it now. Feel bad if I forget, but he came with the ice baths, so that was nice one Saturday morning. But no, I don't have them regularly.
would you consider it given the injuries? Is there additional stuff now? Because you mentioned obviously the physios you're probably starting to listen to now, or you're
Yeah, I
starting to
definitely
listen to
am
coaches?
listening to the physios now. No, I just use an ice pack on my Achilles and shins or wherever I get sore. I probably could do with an ice bath, but I don't think I'd use it enough. It'd just be sitting out the back, wouldn't it? And I'd be looking at it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm afraid of. It's like a wheelie bin, except I can't put rubbish in it for me at this
Literally,
stage. You
literally.
probably get asked this a lot after, because you do sea swimming and you're running and stuff like that. The triathlon, does that ever appeal to you? Ironman, stuff like
No,
that? No interest?
I almost drowned during COVID because I went swimming in the sea thinking I was a swimmer and I wasn't a swimmer. So I would die. Like, honestly, I was in the water for 45 minutes. I swam out to the second buoy thinking, that's not that far. I can see that from here, like from Blackrock. I don't know if you know Blackrock and Galway. And then I swam out, not a bother on me, thinking I was so fast, not realizing the current actually brought me out.
Oh no.
And
Oh,
then I got to the
geez.
second buoy and then the current affected the current and I actually couldn't get back in. I had to I was actually floating out to sea. It was terrifying and I had to go on my back and swim or go on my back into the shore and then walk the entire prom. I was just crying my eyes out like,
Oh,
but no,
That'd be
I'm
scary.
panicking thinking about that. Like I'd be gone.
it
That's
was awful. I was in for 45 minutes in the water, which is not that long if you're a triathlete, but it was awful. So I think I'd be too afraid to do a triathlon, to be honest.
And it's definitely one that scares me. And even when we talk about Portugal and stuff, when you see it, like I'm not a big fan of the open water, I always say it, and it is terrifying. It is
Mhm.
like, especially in those kind of moments. And I suppose, first of all, well done for being kind of calm to go on your back. And a
Mm,
lot of people can get in those panicky situations and those kind of things. And that's why I suppose Water Safety Ireland, and we had Ushin on the podcast over the last week, is
yeah,
talking about water sports and the importance of it in Ireland and being aware of it. But
yeah.
still, it hasn't turned you off the
No, but
dip.
I really find those who do triathlons and Ironmans, they're really, really brave. And when I look at them, I'm just like, wow, you're such a brilliant person to be able to give that a go. Like running is hard, but I feel like that's harder. You've three sports to juggle.
You can see Eric's head getting bigger with every syllable you said just there.
I take it all back now.
Thank
I'm
you
only
very
lying.
much.
I did a marathon or an Ironman. I don't think I competed in one. I finished, I
You
crossed the
showed up.
line, and that's about it. Yeah.
That's
So
all you need to do.
but it's in terms of looking at the endurance project, and obviously you're in
Yeah.
training. You've one marathon under your belt. Is it okay to ask what is in the plans? What are the goals?
Yeah. So I wanted to run 2:45 this October, but things haven't gone to plan. So I just want to be able to just run fast and see how I get on, and whatever time I get, that's okay. And then I would like to try and win it at some stage over in the next few years, because I'm going to be training with the boys now, and Pete is in my corner trying to get me there. So I feel like the world is my oyster if I just do things right.
Hold on a minute. So you just subtly just said, I'm gonna win the Dublin Marathon.
I hope so. I wouldn't mind winning it.
Do you know what? That is absolutely brilliant. And
Yeah.
the first person we've had on to actually just be like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna set that goal and I'm gonna
And I
do
hope
it.
I don't
It's
come
absolutely
across as
brilliant.
cocky or whatever, but I feel like if you don't believe in yourself a little bit, then what's the point? So we'll see how I get on.
Absolutely not. And I
Yeah.
suppose part of visualizing is
Yeah.
seeing yourself doing that. And like if you can't visualize that, then the training doesn't really matter. And why are we
Yeah.
just showing up? Like the amount of people that say to me and Sean, like, oh, but did you win the marathon? And it's like,
No.
what?
It's so annoying when they say that. Like going into work the next day, that week, I did okay. So I was able to, I think I came 12th, so it was fine. But like some people go back into work and they did like an average marathon. How did you get on? What you come? And there's like 20,000 or how many's in? I don't even know how many's in the race. But like you're saying you came a few thousand. They're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did
Well,
you just slip
welcome.
in? You came 12th.
I think it was 12. It was either 10th, 12th, or 14th. I can't remember.
I would have that plaster
I'll be on a
behind me, the
wall.
wall
I'll be on
there.
a
Yeah.
mantelpiece.
Yeah.
I'd be
Jesus
all
Christ.
framed, the jersey, 12th out of,
Yeah, I must check.
I assume around, if there's 16,000 people that did it last year. I mean, that's
Is that
what,
it?
8,000?
5,000 women, yeah.
Last year, third was 2:45. That's why my head is on that figure, because that would get me on the podium. Or would have
Oh,
last year.
wow.
Yeah.
You're only 8 minutes off podium.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not, yeah. So we'll see
It,
now
uh,
how I get on. Might surprise myself again in October.
Well, you might not listen to your coach and run faster as well. So you have habit of doing it. So there's
I
definitely
do.
there's
I
definitely
do.
room for it.
Yeah.
Obviously you have a couple of years now to look forward to in trying these things. The Olympics is around the corner. The opening ceremony, as we're recording, is literally happening.
Is
Started
it?
2 minutes ago. Do you see any potential of pushing it in now that we're visualizing? We have our vision board out. Do you see yourself looking towards any long distance and that kind of element?
Yeah, I would
Or
love to race for Ireland. Definitely. I just don't know what event yet. Like I feel like I'd be okay at the shorter stuff as well, like 5Ks, 10Ks. I haven't really got to focus on them, but I would like to get Irish Fest. I don't know like how to do that. I suppose I don't know how you get picked and all that. There's loads I don't know, so just relying on the lads to help me with that aspect.
Going a bit full circle back to your track days. Did you know people there that got to that next level towards the Olympics and stuff like that?
Yeah, a few of those in the Paris Olympics now I would have, trained, raced with them. And I have my group that I was with in NUIG was an elite sprint team. Rob MacDonald was on the team who went to the Olympics. Sarah Quinn, my best friend, she went to World Champs. We had loads, they representing Ireland. So I came from a good group that were running for Ireland on a regular basis.
It makes so much sense now that when you were doing that, you were like the pressure of that high level. You kind of glossed over that high level. Like that's phenomenal.
I also didn't try hard enough. Like it was completely down to me. I wasn't giving it everything that I'm giving right now. Like the little things, I wasn't doing the little things that
But
I'm doing
you kind of
now.
have to want it and stuff as well. Like
Yeah.
I'd love to go back to myself 10, 15 years ago. Like, no, just push that thing. Don't go away from it. You don't need to do that. And like you go to college, like, oh, pints.
And that was hard trying to juggle. I was in college it took me 6 years to get I was in college for 6 years. So it was hard to balance being a runner and trying to have friends. Like that was the hardest thing.
And it is difficult when you look at an athlete's life, and a footballer or a runner or a sprinter, it's starting from a young age. To be a child prodigy, the up and coming, to stand out from the crowd. So you're under pressure from that stage. you're in secondary school and it's cool because you're the local
Yeah.
celebrity in the school.
Yeah.
And then, but at some point, like as a young person, there's a lot of other elements to life that you only really discover when you move out of that little bubble. And that's when it can be a very lonely place. And that's why
Yeah.
I suppose athletes take comfort in other athletes because you're all in the same boat. Is there elements, obviously, you know yourself, and I think you're probably being quite harsh on yourself to say, I didn't really try, because it's hard to tell 16-year-old you who wants to go to the 16th birthday party and not train. Like, like it's
Yeah.
not, I don't think I think it's quite difficult, particularly on people who are growing up, to look back and say, like, even I look at mine, I could have had a career in football if I had tried a little bit
Oh,
more and
wow.
I had it done. But I can't hate myself for it now either. I go to
No,
games and
forgiveness.
go, I could be there, but at 16, I didn't know what I wanted, So,
No, how are you meant to know at that age?
but if there are youngers and some younger people do listen to this, what advice do you have looking back on it and to give them the little tips and tricks to navigate through?
For me, something that if you love something so much and it gives you so much happiness, then do that and don't feel bad about doing it. Like I remember always running in college and loving it so much, but having people's comments really interfere with my mindset. Like, oh, you have to go for a run now, or you're not coming out. What do you mean you can't drink? And people not supporting me and then I was internalizing that and feeling bad for loving what I was doing. And I don't know, did that play a role? So like if you love something, do it and never apologize for being obsessed with it, is what I would say.
And I suppose that's come full circle now, but with some of the stuff you've said at the start of surrounding people who support you, and then it's easy. It's easy
Yeah,
to
then it's easy
enjoy it.
because
It's easy to
they
achieve.
become your friends then, and that's so fun when you run with your friends,
And it's probably why this running club boom is happening all over the world. There's running clubs are starting up left, right, and center where people are finding like-minded people who were never going to be friends because their social circles, their family
Yeah,
circles. And now through a run club, they're able to change their lifestyle, they're able to
yeah,
meet
it's so
like-minded people.
nice. The only
And
problem I have with that is all the races are selling out.
yeah.
Seriously though, I got my entry to the Dublin half, but my best friend Grania loves the Dublin half and can't get an entry. Any entries
Well,
going? Tell me.
we're getting a lot of requests in of people who are looking for marathon tickets, and is there any swaps going? We'll probably put a little thing on the page and a little post for the half and the full. If
Yeah,
anyone has tickets or swapsies,
yeah,
you can find each other on our Instagram page. We'll put up a post probably
that's a
after
good
this
idea.
podcast, and people can find each other for the spare tickets and use it.
Yeah,
There's 3,000 people who will listen to this, so there has to be a spare ticket going
there are
out
that many
somewhere.
people. Oh my days! Don't tell me that.
Yeah, me and Sean don't like to think about it either because we can't
No,
believe it.
that's brilliant for
Yeah.
you guys. Though you're doing something right. That's a lot of people you're reaching.
We're
It's
just
more running our mouths, not running on the roads that we're
it's
doing right.
getting good people like you, Maeve, onto the show. It's keeping us
Thank
alive.
you, thank you.
So when we're looking at you, we're going to be hopefully seeing you in Dublin. It's going to be a big one. Are
Yes,
any
I'm
of the
training
big
hard.
six,
What?
because you have the time, the big marathons, the big ones they call them. Every marathon's a big marathon. Well, they're all the same size, but do you have any want to go abroad to do any of them runs just for a European experience, even in the
Yeah,
US, or what would you like?
I'd love to go to do the London Marathon. I think that one looks lovely with there's loads of people out sporting it. I just don't know how to get into it, so I need to figure that out as well. And what am I doing in New York? Because I was there once and the place is class. So yeah, I'd like to do a
Most
few of those majors.
most of the majors are lottery, and then there's charity entries. So there is ways of for those.
You're in on 253. I'm not like that's
You
the
need an
You're
address
in.
for London, and I don't. My brother lives there, but then
Hmm.
I was like, what if they find out and then it doesn't work or
I
something?
know New York, it's based on time, and
Yeah, I have New York, I think.
yeah, New York is probably the hardest. They say New York is harder than Boston to get into. So
Oh, really?
London could be London or New York is probably the hardest too. But
I'll
on
do one of them.
time, I would say you just apply with your time, and it depends on like if everyone. I don't know what the female one is, but I think the guys one was. I think it was like 250 for New York and 255 for Boston. But then
Okay.
because so many applied from New York, it was like they took 8 minutes or something off that. They had to cap it on best for time, but so many hit that best for time that down in it, and then they
Oh
got like
God,
something like
okay.
8 minutes
must
off
look
each
into it.
age group as well. So
I'm a devil for not looking into like these things. I just like lazy about finding out how to, even what you said about the Irish teams, I'm like, I don't know. I just need to I just need to look into it.
like I
I'm
know
sure.
the women's one as well. It's like a half hour. You've got a half hour more than the guys one usually, up to a half hour. So if it's like 2:55 for guys, it's like 3:25 or something for female
Oh,
to
I'm
get into it.
sound.
So you are. I would. I hate to not look this up right now. Like, but you were. I'd almost guarantee. There's probably someone listening going, she has the hope. But no, I think you're almost guaranteed a 2:53 to get
Right.
into New York or London or any.
Might do that so next year, little holiday.
That's what's saying at the start of the podcast. That's why you the golden ticket right there to
Yeah. What am I doing with myself? I'm just in
That's
Phoenix
not what I
Park
meant to
instead.
No,
I need to spread my wings.
I think this is how the likes of the Taylor Swift get signed by. We'll be your manager, right?
Yes,
Me
let's
and
do it.
Sean, we're going to the top all the way. Forget about
Little
no,
holiday
we'll
for ourselves.
No.
we'll cheer you on. We'll make the signs. We'll get the green jerseys.
You better
we'll
make a
do
sign.
everything.
I love a handmade sign. I made one for Pete's Marathon in Belfast, and it was the coolest thing ever. And my friends made one for me in Dublin. Like I said, I love signs.
Sean trawled through the Instagram for about 2 hours, but if he spent that 2 hours now just looking
Making
up
a
all
sign,
these
that's all it
races
needs
for
to
you,
do.
telling you, this is it. This is, if anyone's listening to this is how we become famous. The three of us.
This is it. Staying here
So, switching gears for those of us without that time, is there any races or half marathons and stuff more local to Ireland, or even you said you did Paris and stuff like that, that you would recommend that people may not talk about? Because like you said a couple minutes ago, it's very hard to get a Dublin half marathon to Phoenix Park.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to get into the main marathon, the Dublin Marathon, I mean, not the main marathon. Whereas, for example, Galway is a great marathon out there, and you have the 10K and a half that day. Is there
Good
any
save,
other...
Sean. Good save. Well done. I'm
Good
proud of you.
save.
Thank you. Is there any other races where you'd be like, that's actually, I did that race and I really enjoyed that this is something that more people should do?
Yeah, I love the Raheny 5 mile because you get a really good goodie bag at the end. You get like Haribos and all.
Oh, you're
chocolate, like.
speaking his language.
You know what I mean?
We just become best friends. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
You don't get like, I remember finishing the Dublin Marathon and getting a banana, and I was like, come here, like, give me
Really
some Skittles or something. A
bounced it off your
banana.
head.
Give me a pint.
Or a Cork when they gave you a wooden medal. Oh
The
my
wooden
God.
medals.
A wooden
I
one.
swear.
And it was windy, so it kept blowing over everyone's shoulder. It
That's
was
the new thing,
disappearing.
though. The race last week was wooden as well. Like, I'll be really upset if Dublin Marathon is a wooden medal.
They're
I hope
calling
it's
it
not this year.
they're calling it sustainability, but you will never recycle your medal, and it's
No.
cheaper for them to produce. So
Yeah.
I'm
Two
not
emails
calling
each
anyone
consent.
out.
Yeah, we won't say names.
I've signed up for. I'm normally not big on medals, but the NACE 5 and 10K one that's coming up in September.
I haven't done that
That
before.
one, it feels so heavy, but they also have the NACE Globe on the So it has that in the middle of it, and it
Ooh.
spins.
That's nice. That's fancy.
It's Gucci. It's
The
very
VHI
fancy.
actually was metal and it got a pink ribbon on it, a pink thing. That was nice. The VHI is, I love the VHI. Sorry, if you're a female or I don't know anymore, anyone can enter any race, do the VHI because it's the best day ever.
How
My
good
favorite
is it?
event.
Because
10K.
my mom tells me she's done 5 marathons, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's called a marathon.
so we have this age-old row where my mom has done more marathons than I have. But how good is it though? How good is it for women getting
It's
involved in
so
that
good. It's just there's just no fellas around, and there's music all along the route. It's my favorite, and my mom comes up. We've done it the last 2 years, and it's my favorite weekend ever. So if you're a girl, do it.
Do you race it?
Yeah, I raced it. I did it.
Yeah.
No, I mean no. I mean like race it. Like, so like some people that, because I heard it's in like almost like 2 groups. So if you are a sub 45 10K, you can go in the early waves and
Yeah.
stuff, and then you have the opportunity to race it. Whereas if not, you could be waiting a while before you
You're waiting
start.
ages. I felt so bad because I was finished, got my bag and all, and some of the things hadn't even started. Some of the I don't know
Oh,
what word I'm
wow.
looking for, and it was like an hour had passed at this stage, and like the sun was beating down. I don't really think it was very fair how they started, but anyways.
That's what I was getting at. I didn't want to be that man saying, yeah, but some people have different experience than you at the
Yeah,
Women's
they
Marathon
would
this year,
have.
but it was very
Yeah.
hot this year doing it. Like
So
people were
hot.
struggling.
So hot. Same as the fellas were down in Cork, and the heat apparently was
Was bad this
minging.
year as well.
Down in Cork Marathon, yeah.
That's 2 years in a row. Well, I
Two
suppose
years in a row,
it
yeah.
is the first week of June, and it tends to have that leaving cert weather, as we all know. That
does.
it tends to be a good one and a hot one. But it's definitely something I think the BHI marathon, or the mini marathon, or the marathon as my mum calls it,
Marathon, yeah.
it's absolutely brilliant, and it's a great resource for ladies to go and just spend time in their own comfort and taking on something and getting, like, especially from the family aspect, that's time well spent, like your mom coming up and
Yeah, it's the best day. We love it because I don't get to see her that much because I don't really go home that often as I should. So when I get to see her, it's always special.
It's one of those where I suppose the one thing I love about doing the Dublin Marathon and the big races, I probably should do it more for the smaller races,
Mm.
is that you kind of celebrate it afterwards.
Yeah,
You go out for a few, it doesn't have to be for a few drinks, but you do something after it to mark the
to mark it.
occasion. Yeah, and I do look for that. I do look forward to that for Dublin. Like I call it Dublin, like a big day out. I don't go out that much for a day drinking a pint like that, but when it comes to Dublin Marathon, it's almost as much about meeting people at the end of it and having a
Yeah,
crack with them and all that sort of stuff, as well
yeah.
as
Few scoops
the re
after.
exactly.
Hmm.
And that's something that's really cool with those kind of
Yeah, I
races.
can't wait for that. I remember having a pint of Guinness after, and it was just lovely with a chocolate bar because I hadn't eaten chocolate in so long, and I was just like annihilated the chocolate bar like
do
half a
you
second.
do you go clean, very clean with your eating in the build up to these races,
I
or what's the
do, yeah,
nutrition
I
like?
would now. Last year I did, my nutrition was quite good. So yeah, I wouldn't eat badly really. Like I'd have maybe two biscuits on like at the weekend or a donut. Donuts are my thing, rolling donut.
Oh
But I
yes.
don't eat wouldn't eat takeaways or anything during
Okay, we're
training.
not friends anymore.
I was
Not
going,
friends.
you wouldn't have fried rice and chicken or anything that the start of a marathon that gets you fueled up by any chance, no? Like
Fried rice
some
and
people.
chicken on the
Ah,
morning.
chicken and rice.
Mashed potato.
Oh
Mashed
yes,
potato, that's
we
just
are
as
friends.
bad.
We are definitely friends. You are just as
Would
Oh,
weird as
you,
me. This is
before you did the
brilliant.
marathon, you'd have a mashed potato?
no, well, no. The night before I'd say I had a big bag of spuds.
That's
Like I
different.
honestly, I was eating mashed potato all day. I was so sick when I woke up. My brother had potato the morning of the marathon.
And
I
what would
had
you eat in the
porridge.
morning of the marathon? You porridge.
I had a bowl of
That's
porridge and a
sensible.
square bar, and then I had a gel with my porridge.
Yeah, but you see, you're running a lot faster. I'm going for a few more hours. So, I need the dinner to start the day.
You need
I
chicken
need
and
to get the
rice.
head start.
That's absolutely nasty. I love me chicken and rice, but not first thing in the morning before running for 4 or 5 hours.
Or six.
Or six. Here, we don't know what's going to happen. We're doing the Barcelona Marathon. There's 31 athletes traveling to Barcelona with us next year to run a marathon.
Next
And
year. Are you doing Dublin yourselves in October?
Yeah, I'm down for Dublin.
Oh, sure, I'll meet you at the start line. Meet you.
Yeah,
Or,
well, I
you
won't see
won't.
the finish
He'll be in
line.
wave
You'll be
7.
4 or
You'll be
5
finished by the
pints
time he
deep
gets
before
started.
I get there
I'll
to
meet you
get
for a pint.
So yeah, we'll find out next year anyway if how well our training has gone. Sean is taking on Dublin with yourself in October, and then the Barcelona Marathon's what we're building for next
That'll
year.
be a good indicator then this October for you, Sean. You can kind of see where you're at and readjust the plan if you're not happy with how
Well,
you
I
get
probably
on.
won't be happy, but I could try and find people after a few points afterwards, get all the advice in the world I need as well at this podcast.
Is it? He's gonna just end up running behind you secretly now for the next little while.
Yeah, you probably will. You get on the bike. I'm on the bike every Saturday because I've been injured for the last bloody 7 months. So I go on the bike,
Do you find that
handing out
works?
gels.
The
Yeah,
cross training?
and take some videos, give them food like gels, and then that's kind of how I got into the DEP. Like I just kept showing up. Like I wasn't really asked for a while. I just kept coming on Saturday morning, and Ian was like, "Oh, you're back again." I was like, "Yeah, I'm back again." And then I just kept thinking he was messing, but I don't think he was messing like for a good few months. And then Pete was like, "No, she's coming into the group chat," and then it was solidified. I was in the group chat. Then I was definitely welcome on Saturday morning. So that's how I really
Very
got
good.
in. I'm just like a pest.
This next Saturday now, there's gonna be like 10, 15 people there in the park, and he's like, "Where does people come from?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm here now. How do I get into the group
Yeah.
chat?"
You'll know well it's because of me. Like I did it for so long. It was at least 2 months. Like I was doing that for.
It's paid dividends for you now, though. It's
It
class.
has. Now I'm one of them. Well, not really. I annoy them so much. I really
But
do.
that's all part of it.
Yeah. They annoy me as well. Like God, they annoy me so much. It goes both ways.
Does that little bit of fun, the little bit of competition, the nuisance, because I know myself, I need that element of slagging and I need that element of everything else in that kind of group because it just takes the edge or the seriousness out of it as well.
The thing with me though is the Dublin wit is just, I can't keep up. So they'd be saying a joke, right? And then I'd be home in the shower thinking, oh, I get it now. You know, can I respond? Like, I don't understand half of it. And I'm just there like smiling, like clueless.
Just waving back at them.
Waving back. And they're like, do you get that, Maeve? And I'm like, no.
It's a whole other lingo in itself.
It's different, isn't it? The Dublin humour is so different than anything I've been used to.
We've had a few on the podcast and they've been very quick with it. And I was like, shit. It's kind of one of those where I've always wanted to edit it afterwards and like, that quick line, I'll just sneak that into the podcast.
Yeah. Oh,
I feel like I've said it straight away. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So over the next couple of weeks, it's your chance to get back fit. It's your chance to get back healthy and your strength and conditioning and your physios. And then we're hoping you should be back running over the next 3-4 weeks. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I'm back running. Like Pete had me on building base for the last 7 weeks. And now next week I get to introduce some intervals and then it'll just grow from there. I have Tullamore half marathon, Dublin half, and then D-Day in October. So I'm just, I'm really focused at the minute and it's nice to just be like head down, blinkers on and just giving it welly.
Class. Well, hopefully we'll have a part 2 with you then, Maeve, and when you hit that 2:45 and further on, especially if you're getting podium.
Yeah, fair. I'll give you a shout out.
We just became her managers. She has to come back on and do another one. He's like memory like a sieve, this fella.
He's checking me into hospital.
Memory like a fish. I run like a fish. It's all good.
You just got an email there, Maeve. Would you mind signing that and getting it back to me in a hurry?
Give me your bank details first.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm wrapping up, Eric. Wrap up.
Maeve, it's been absolutely lovely having you on. It's been a great chat. It's great to have someone so honest and driven on as well. It gives people motivation. And that's what this podcast is. It's front row seats to great athletes like yourself, through all the ups and the downs and getting an insight into the dedication it takes to do what you're doing. We are excited to see what you do. We're excited to have you back on as your new management team. And Sean is definitely, I won't be there, unfortunately. But Sean is definitely.
You have us on the tracker app, sure.
Yeah, I'll be watching. I'll be well into my lunchtime now at that stage, so I'll be well watching. I'll have eaten 2 portions of chicken and rice in solidarity with you guys.
And I'll have a pint ready for Sean at the end.
You'll give it a good hour after you finish for your order. I don't want the 2 stale.
No, you don't want a stale Guinness. Nothing worse than that.
It has been a blast having you on, and we are really looking forward to chatting to you again, maybe at the end of October, maybe into start of November, and see what the new year is going to hold.
Thanks for choosing me to come on. It's nice to be acknowledged. So thank you.
And on that note, thank you very much for being on this week's episode of the Any Given Day podcast. That's myself, Maeve, and Eric. Take care.